Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning, viewers out there. It's Inside Nigeria for Wednesday, October 20, 2021. Of course, it is 1 year anniversary after the climax EndSARS protest across Nigeria. Good morning, Winifred.
Good morning, Bode, and good morning, viewers out there.
All right, as usual, on a Wednesday like this, we have in our regular analyst and Abuja-based public affairs analyst, columnist, and TV host, Jide Oju. Jide, good morning.
It's a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Winifred. It's a pleasure.
Well,
happy EndSARS anniversary.
So that one is allowed. Happy EndSARS. I'm hearing it for the first time.
We did the happy them yesterday.
It seems like yesterday, and
how time flies.
Exactly. Well, viewers, we're starting as usual with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, despite 197 varsities in Nigeria, admission crisis persists. Despite 197 varsities, admission crisis persists in Nigeria. Only 500,000 candidates gain admission yearly. 3 million miss out in 3 years. Expand facilities, ASU tells federal government, states. Government opts for more varsities. Let me start from the last rider. Is the solution in the establishment of more universities, or there is something we are not getting right?
Well, there is a law we are not getting right. I think our educational planning is faulty. We do know how many students graduate from secondary school to want to go to tertiary institutions. And you know the choice of an average student after secondary education is university. Next is polytechnic, and then colleges of education or monotechnics. So knowing full well that we have skewed education, the value of education to that of a university certificate, we should have planned to expand the infrastructure within the public and private schools. But I need to say this. It is not so much that there are no spaces for admission. It is unaffordability, particularly for private universities. You see that many of the private universities are looking for students. They are not getting students because the price is far too beyond the average reach of a parent. So where you want a child to come and pay 1 million, 1.6 million per term, per semester for a course, how many civil servants or even people in private sector can afford to pay? So there's no course you want to study that you won't get a space in private university. But affordability is the challenge. So when you say that admission, a lot of people do not get an admission, it is to public universities, because you cannot be given more slot than your carrying capacity. So everybody wants to go to University of Lagos, where I graduated, or Ilorin, where they say they have a seamless academic session, but they don't want to go to University of Maiduguri. They don't want to go to University of Yobe for security reasons. I don't know if you get me, because we cannot say that government is not even expanding infrastructure. Every year, additional 9 universities were licensed. Was it this year or last year? So every state now have a federal university. There are states with more than 5 universities, and more colleges of education and polytechnics are being converted to universities. What else do you want the government to do? I think Jabatech has now been converted to university, or is in the process of being considered. Now, Tertiary College of Education has been converted to university. It is now a University of Education. Adeyemi College of Education has now been converted last week to a University of Education. So what I'm saying is that government is doing its own bit. But you see, given the number of graduates from secondary school, is huge. And if our education planners have taken into consideration, what they could do is to now make many of our existing university multi-campus. Don't establish new one. We have a Ladoke Akintola University
In my hometown.
in Ogbomoso, your hometown. You can have campuses in
Shaki.
in Ibarapa area, and all of that. So that one will take additional maybe 500. Do you get it? So because right now we have satellite campuses all over the place, and there are also distance learning. And don't also forget, we now have Open University, National Open University, that also can award degrees to students. So the options are many, but it's like when we say Nigeria has 17 million housing deficit, it is not so. And I agree with Fashola, former Governor Fashola, now Minister of Works, that there are no housing deficits as we are made to believe. What we have is that people cannot afford the extant accommodation. There are houses in Abuja that are under lock and key for many years. Nobody is living there. Because when you say you want to rent such apartment, they say 2.5 million per annum. A duplex in Maitama, 2 million. So how many people can afford that? So it's about affordability. The same thing with private university. If you want to study engineering, you want to study law, all those courses you want to go and study in university that they don't give you admission for years, if you have your money, go to any of these private universities, you will get admission. So it's about affordability. And like I said, solution lies in, well, as it is, many colleges of education being expanded, being upgraded into university, but let's also have multi-campus. If University of Ibadan, now have campuses in many other states, and then admit students and engage more staff and ensure quality control, that is the same quality that you get if you are in Ibadan, that you get in any of their other satellite campuses, I think we will solve this problem in no time.
Yes, Jide, and rightly, like you said, talking about planning, yeah, is one factor of proper planning. And I want to also tell you that we also have information deficit. People don't even know, people don't have the right information. People don't know why they should go to university, why they should go to polytechnic, why they should go to colleges of education, because they believe that if you go to university, you are superior
Yes.
to graduates of polytechnics and colleges
college
of education, which is not supposed to be so. If you are
They have
supposed to be
even
a teacher,
upgraded the-
you go to
Yes,
teacher institution.
yeah, it
for
wasn't
proper
help
training.
because of the dichotomy between
HND and first degree.
Exactly.
So that is why I think we are having this kind of number. From our statistics, you will see that 1.5 million people or candidates are aiming to gain admission every year. But out of the 1.5, only 500 get admission, while 1 million miss out. 3 million
I
don't get.
recall when I was admitted to the University of Lagos, the vice chancellor there, late Professor Jalili Adebisi Omotola, told us at matriculation, he said, congratulate yourself. Only 7.5% of those who aspire or chose University of Lagos as their first choice gain admission. So less than 10%. Just imagine. So if you have 100, only about 8 out of 100 is getting admission to that. But when must everybody want to go to University of Lagos?
No, university generally
Exactly, that's what
we have
I'm saying.
polytechnics.
It's
We
not
have
just
polytechnics, but because of that, what Winifred said, dichotomy between HND and
There is a law now.
Now there is a law.
Yes,
And
forbidding
in fact,
dichotomy.
the Federal Executive Council over 3 years ago have said they have equated there is parity between HND and. But now without that law backing it up, I think they are just wasting their time, and that's why they now want to pass a legislation to back up that federal government policy.
All right, away from education, let's talk about small economy. Winifred?
Yes, national economy, sister publication. Today says poor ports infrastructure, others undermine Nigeria's non-oil exports. Poor ports infrastructure, others undermine Nigeria's non-oil exports.
Yes, today we'll talk about too much pressure on our mega dollar. We don't have more dollar in the foreign reserve again. Now that we are having problem with the ports again, non-oil export is being threatened. So it means less foreign exchange for the country.
But who do you blame?
The government.
Exactly. Because when you are talking of poor ports infrastructure, who is responsible? Am I supposed to use my money to develop ports? Do you know how much Nigerian government is realizing from Nigeria Ports Authority? It's a gold mine. Why can't they invest the right amount of money? Or if they don't have the money, they can do PPP, public-private partnership. Look, there are supposed to be up to 8 ports in Nigeria on is it Kokori or whatever in Delta, on in Rivers. There is one Akwa Ibom in Calabar. All of this, if the same attention that is being paid to Lagos were paid to all these other ports, and the level of infrastructure development of the Lagos port, the one in Apapa and Tinkan Island, if they have extended similar gesture to these other ports across the country, you will see a huge decongestion of Lagos Apapa, the Lagos port, and then you will be able to do your export with ease. Look, all the products that you have to bring to Lagos to ship out of Nigeria, if you can do it in Calabar, if you can do it in Uyo, in Akwa Ibom, if you can do it in the Delta, if you can do it in which other one has access to the sea. Now, just imagine, all the southeastern people and south people will now have to transport all their goods to Lagos. Now, the Lagos is serving the entire 36 states. How would that how would the infrastructure last? Because it's overstretched. Even if you build a classroom, that classroom is very beautiful, but there is overpopulation. You will see that depreciation will fall in sooner than later. Sooner than later. And that is why I think our Minister of Transportation have not really I don't know whether they don't have a blueprint or they have a blueprint, they've jettisoned that blueprint. We have been crying and shouting about the maritime sector. They need to expand the infrastructure of the maritime sector. There is nothing that says even this Lokoja here cannot serve as a port.
Exactly.
You understand? There was a time they were doing dredging of the River Niger and River Benue in Lokoja. There is a naval base there. And just imagine if you have that kind of port facility in Lokoja, it will serve so many northern states. You don't need to then transport your goods to Lagos. That is what you need to do with decentralization. But where you centralized everything, everybody goes. That's why Papa Osho, the expressway, is always congested. Because as there are many articulated vehicles going to discharge goods at the port for export, there are so many also coming out who have just been loaded, who needs to go and discharge their cargo elsewhere. And they established a number of dry ports some years ago under Goodluck Jonathan or Obasanjo or Yar'Adua.
About 6 of them.
Yes, dry ports across the 6 geopolitical zones. The one for Southwest is in Ibadan. But nothing has happened in that dry port because these are also thought of to decongest the port. So before you clear your goods, they will just move it to those places, and then if you don't clear it on time, you pay demurrage and all of that. But it will decongest the port. But what we have seen is that even to have access to the sea, despite the fact that Nigeria is not a landlocked country, we've only improved infrastructure in only one out of several places where you could have port activities. So who do you blame?
Who do you blame? Well, I hope those concerned are listening to us. Today we need to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take the discussion to another level. We'll be back shortly.
But there are though non
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. Of course, it's still Inside Nigeria, October 20, 2021 on a Wednesday morning. And of course, we are still having Jide Joe with us in the studio. Now, Jide, we need to go to the front page of this day to see what is projected. And of course, on the front page of this day today is a cheering news about our security. Military deploys helicopter gunships against bandits in Kaduna, decimates 50. Military deploys helicopter gunships against bandits in Kaduna, decimates 50. Governor El-Rufai to troops, let's sustain momentum, says more bandits must be brought to bitter end. This is the cheering news. Yesterday evening, we got a statement from Kaduna State government saying movement of bandits was detected and the military actually leveraged on that, moving and killed not less than 50.
Well, while that may be a good news for Kaduna, it's a bad news for Abuja and Nasarawa and Niger.
Even Sokoto, I remember.
Yes,
Sokoto just
because
the military operation in Zamfara is causing problem for them.
They killed about 40
at the market,
at the Sokoto market, and Tambuwa said it's because of military operations in Zamfara. So when you disperse this bandits, they are moving out of that place to a safer haven, and that's why you see the governor of the governor of Nasarawa, Governor Sule, said that look, they have been seeing strange faces in and around Nasarawa state because southern Kaduna is sharing boundary with Nasarawa, and Abuja is also similarly going to be affected as these bandits are chased away from Kaduna. They will seek a place in Abuja, particularly the rural communities around Abuja. They will also seek refuge in Niger State. Niger is having a fair share of insecurity, all because of military operations in Kaduna, in Katsina, in Zamfara. And now, where next after Niger? It's Abuja. The same thing, Nasarawa, the same thing, Plateau. So, the moment you start displacing those bandits from their safe haven, because they don't also want to die. That's why they can inflict maximum calamity on another people. When it is for them, they want to escape death. They don't want to die. So that's the irony of it. So we need to make it holistic, that we need to cordon them off. When these military operations will start, make sure that there are boundaries. You monitor the boundaries, and where you see mass movement of people, stop them and profile them, and any one of them that you see that is armed, you dislodge them or neutralize them. Because a person who is fleeing into an IDP camp is not supposed to be having AK-47 around his neck. So I think what I would say is good news for Kaduna. It may make Kaduna to be safer, but it may make their adjoining states to not bear the brunt of insecurity.
All right. We hope the military authorities will actually develop a plan B. I don't know what they call it in the military. Is that a contingency plan? Yes. To make sure that where there is operation, the other areas are being
sharing boundary with those places.
Exactly.
Cordon as well.
All right, today we need to go to our last paper on the menu this morning, and that is the Punch.
On Punch newspaper today, incidentally, is EndSARS anniversary. Police occupy Lekki toll gate. Others, activists, set for protest. Police occupy Lekki toll gate. Others, activists, set for protest. On the rider, it says protesters, security agents may clash as youths insist on commemorative rally. Organizers reject indoor anniversary to converge under bridges. Hold procession. Police deploy massive operatives in Federal Capital Territory's strategic locations. That is Punch newspaper today.
Despite the threat by the police, I can tell you in at least 4 cities across Nigeria, there is EndSARS anniversary protest in Lagos, Yola, Adamawa State, and here at the Unity Fountain in Abuja.
Well, and there's nothing that says there shouldn't be protests, even though there are apprehension in government quarters that this could also be hijacked by hoodlums and I mean, I read somewhere yesterday that insurance community, insurance
Yes,
corporation in
I saw
Nigeria has
this
paid 9 billion naira,
Yes, I saw this
9 billion naira as compensation to those affected by the NSAS looting and protests last year. That is huge. But I believe, yes, people can protest, but they should be civil about it.
Yes.
They should not engage in wanton destruction of lives and property, because the insecurity is still very much with us, and we just should not worsen the already precarious situation. But one thing I also want to call to attention to is that 1 year after SARS, what is the what has changed? What are the lessons? What have been the takeaway
Those are the
from
issues
that?
we are going to discuss.
Exactly.
And where you also stay behind to help us share.
So is 1 year after, what lessons? Do we have a police of our dream now? Do we have okay? What is the state of SWOT? They said SWOT has replaced SARS. I've not seen any deployment called SWOT, but even if they have been deployed, are they any better? Have we stopped having recording human rights abuses?
Did you see the video that was trending by police officers slapping down on some passengers?
Yes, Okene, yes, Okene. That's part
another
of
dimension of police
yes,
brutality.
police brutality.
In fact, let me tell you what has changed over the years, and I've got to realize that. So, police brutality was not in SARS. Police brutality is actually in the police institution.
Yes,
so, despite the disbandment of SARS, brutality has continued.
Yes.
And that's
the irony. That's why we are saying, in memoriam of this October 20 NSAS protest, what we need to do is to have a call to action by government. Come and give us account. What have you done differently? The police leadership, what has been done differently? The federal government, what has been done differently? It's not enough to say, don't come out and protest because there's a tense political situation. Yes, we know that. And we know there is COVID-19, and mass gathering is discouraged. But be that as it may, can we have a symposium and audit in 12 calendar months what has changed between then and now?
One thing again, Jide, is about the October 20, 2020 alleged attack on protesters at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos. The denial by the government will continue to haunt the country. And I can tell you that is what is informing this anniversary.
Yes.
Not the NSAS process itself, but that killing is the one that is informing this anniversary. Government has refused to admit, and there are evidences that yes, people lost their lives. What is the need that the government cannot say, yes, we did that in error, sorry to everybody concerned, we will pay compensation, and we move on as a country?
That is the last one, is what government doesn't want to do. Admitting that they made an error, tactical error, that led to death, means that they are opening government to liabilities, legal liabilities.
There are liabilities already.
Initially, they were deniers that they were not there.
Yes,
they said they
were there, but they didn't shoot live ammunition. Then they said they shot live ammunition, but they shot into the air. And
whether people were killed or not, I think we also saw people in the pool of their blood.
No, people have been maimed for life. It's not about death alone that we should be mindful of. People's life, people have been traumatized. Some people have had to escape with their lives, like DJ Switch, who has to flee for her life because she was the one that was actually trending and doing live streaming of that event, and they felt that she is going to be a star witness for the.
And before the tribunal was also adjourned in Lagos, there was a doctor who claimed that yes, there were many dead bodies in their morgue, and of course they immediately adjourned. So
that's why they don't want. Government does not want to accept liability for that, because they know that such family of such victims can even sue them at International Criminal Court for human rights violations and all of that. So that's what government is trying to have. And you could see that even with the government of the day is alleging that Twitter was being used to pull down the administration of President Buhari and it was a fallout of this NSAS when the owner of Twitter also tried to raise money for the organizers of Twitter. through Bitcoin. That's when they already got him on their watch list. That what is this man trying to do? Raise money for those who are opposing the government of the day. And so that's why they said Twitter was trying to promote violence removal.
Started on social media. Just everybody posting what SARS has done. So let's go out and protest. That was actually what happened.
And Twitter is not the only social media platform we have. There are others used, Facebook and the rest. But actually, you need to stay with us for the second segment, where we'll be looking at the NSAS protest wave across the country, pending issues 1 year after. And we are expecting the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Sowore, to join us for this discussion after the break. We'll be back shortly.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
I have to keep moving. You guys know why it's important. You know why it's important. Now they kill our people. We have to memorialize them. You know why it's important. After the demands of the NSAS protest been met. After the demands of the NSAS protest been met. Of course not. I'm even offended that you're asking me that question. Have you seen justice for anybody that they kill? I think you're still asking me whether it has been met. Of course it has not been met. I don't know the same question.
From Canada, and I told the Nigerian government that they are underpaid, the police are underpaid, and that a time will come we're going to overwhelm the police, and we certainly overwhelm the police. And we have shown that the police have not learned their lesson. Because we see that there's so much injustice in Nigeria. There have not been justice in Nigeria. Look at them rotting again. Look at them rotting. This is a peaceful protest, okay? Don't touch me now. Okay, no, why touching me? What about you?
All right, those are live pictures from Lagos. Protesters are already out to mark the 1 year anniversary of the October 2020 attack on protesters at Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos. Today we are going to look at the wave of the protest in 2020 and 1 year after, what has changed. Of course, there are pending issues. Winifred, you will recall just last week, the National Economic Council, under the leadership of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, just made a pronouncement that protesters should not come out for this anniversary, that the government is set to pay compensation and address some issues. And the question today is that why did they have to take the government 1 year? Because there is an impending protest, or there was an impending protest before they come out to say, please don't do that. We are ready to attend to your demands.
You see, this is why people have trust deficit in their government. There's trust deficit because if you recall, within 1 week or at least maximum of 2 weeks of the NSAS protest, the government came out very quickly to say 5 for 5. We accept all your 5 demands, and we are taking actions on those 5. But 1 year down the line, there's nothing significant. In fact, some of the panel of inquiry, judicial inquiry, have just rounded up, and a year after, when they were supposed to sit for 6 months, they were supposed to be there for 6 months. So, and these were panels that were set up between October and November last year. So you will have experienced that by June, July this year, all the panels sitting will have been concluded, and we will have been talking of the number of people who have been compensated and all of that. But government is still very tardy in the way, and when we revert to the old order, it will not serve us, because I pray that we will not have a sustained protest, the kind of which we have seen in other climes that have lasted months. You know, I also empathize with government. They knew the power of the people when people take to the streets. That's why they insinuated that this could be targeted as, violent removal of government. Because if you recall that in Sudan, the strongman of Sudanese politics, Omar al-Bashir, was removed
in a similar fashion.
People died, the military protested for months, and eventually the military have to ease him out. And today he's answering criminal charges. This was a man that ICC, International Criminal Court, could not arrest, was even junketing about, even when ICC warrant of arrest was on him. But when his people rose up against him, the man could not survive after 30 years plus in government. So what we are saying invariably is that government needs to be more proactive in dealing with issues and building trust in the citizens. This, we all know that the youth of Nigeria were fighting the cause of all of us, both the young and the old. If Nigeria is better, it's not only young people that will live in it. Not all the old people will go away at one fell swoop. So it's to make our country livable that this demand, which I 100% support, of the need to reform our governance structure, because it goes beyond policing. Yeah. It's not just about policing, it's about governance. We want and demand for better governance. We want and demand for better police operations. We want and demand for better security of our lives and property, which has been which has not been up to par in the recent years. So what we are saying is that we need to draw the right lessons from these NSAS. People in government should not see it as a demon that they need to slay. It is not NSAS that is the problem. It is the malaise, the social malaise that led to the NSAS that should be destroyed by prompt actions, making sure that all of those demands, government can come out strongly to say, we have met these demands and these are verifiable outcomes from your demands.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Jide, thank you. You know, during the NSAS protest, as you may recall, the president came out to give a speech. And from the speech, it was obvious to many that nothing was going to be done at the end of the day, because it was actually a stern warning to the youth to desist from the protest and destroy infrastructure. Because if you may recall also, there was nothing apart from changing the nomenclature of, SWAT, SARS is now SWAT. The officers that were actually even fingered in carrying out some of the dastardly acts, they were not brought to book up till now. They are still working free.
That's zero.
So that is what people are saying, that it was government was insincere right at the beginning that nothing will come out of it.
Yes, but like I said earlier that maybe the brutality we're talking about is not in SARS. It's actually in the whole institution of the police.
It is never in SARS. It is actually in the Nigerian policing system, which they said is a bad inheritance from the colonial masters, because it's a repressive Nigerian police that was inherited. And over the years, I thought 61 years after Nigeria got independence, we ought to have reformed. I mean, there have been several police reforms initiatives, reports of former IG committees, MD Yusuf Committee, Mandami Committee, and all manner of committees, presidential and non-presidential, that have been set up. What has happened to those reports? So it is because government has always been paying lip service to these reforms that made people to come out and protest. And I have always said this: if you know under what terms and conditions Nigerian police work, you will know that even they deserve to be pitied, because the system is so bad that even there is no motivation in the policing system of Nigeria for them to perform. Look, we don't have forensic laboratory to process biometrics. You know, if you want to do fingerprint, maybe they have to send it abroad to do finger match, cross matching and all of that, and all the other facilities that a good policing system should have. It's still lacking. I know, and I must concede that this administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has done a lot for Nigerian police. Whatever it's worth, the president increased the wages, police salary. Some 3 years ago, ahead of 2019 election, he did announce that he has increased the salaries of Nigerian police. He has also given a standing order that 10,000 policemen should be recruited every year. Aside from that, it's under this administration you also have the Police Equipment Trust Fund, which is headed by IGP Suleiman Baba, who is a former Inspector General of Police, and who is expected that with his the Police Equipment Trust Fund, that more money will be made available for the police to get better equipment and better operation environment. Then there is also the amendment of Police Act 2020, which was also done by this administration last year. We have a new police act in place. So all of this may take a time to mature, but what Nigerians are doing, are saying, is that we want to see more action than what you have been able to deliver. We want to have a citizen-friendly police, not one. They tell you bail is free, bail is free. Go and try it. If you have anybody in police custody that you want to bail, they will just frustrate you with all manner of demands if you are not ready to drop some money to secure the bail of that person. They also tell you all manner of
to give a statement, you have to pay for it.
It has happened to me. Somebody hit me from the back. We ended up at the police station. They have to ask me for money to buy stationery to be able to write my statement. So it's not like you are talking to somebody who is a third party. I'm a live witness of this. So what we are saying is that we need a more citizen-friendly Nigerian police, and not just police, including other security agencies. Look at what happened in Port Harcourt, where a female female soldier,
Cross River,
that lieutenant, a female, was humiliating and dehumanizing a fellow woman who is a corps member. Can you beat that? It's not even a man against woman now. It's just a lady, a senior officer for that matter, a ranked soldier. A lieutenant. That's a second senior position. From second lieutenant, you get promoted to lieutenant. Then from lieutenant to maybe captain, from captain to major, from major to lieutenant colonel, from lieutenant colonel to colonel, and that's how you move up the ladder. But you see this lady still dehumanizing a fellow female. So
2 weeks ago, I was in a traffic that was in Gwarinpa, and of course, the driver, hot-headed driver, refused to give way for this bullion van, and also a detachment of policemen to behind. So at the end of the day, at meeting at Zenith Bank, they flagged the driver down, and in the hot exchange, one of the policemen told the driver, "I'm not lucky that there's no push here. I would have wasted you."
Imagine that it would have wasted the guy if there were to be a
orientation of the Nigerian police.
So just like what you said, there's a need for overhauling, and their psychology too. There's need to.
And I submit to that, Winifred, that we need to have constant, maybe biannual evaluation of the mental status of our police and other security agents. They also need to be tested for drugs, this cannabis and all of that, because many of them are high on those things. And then the environment under which they operate. Imagine standing in the storm for hours. That would also make you to be psychologically imbalanced. And I agree that
even the citizenry attitude towards them too is not so civil like that.
As we speak now, there are live pictures from Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos, where police have started arresting already the NSAS protesters who came out for NSAS memorial today. Will these new arrests solve the problem?
It won't. Senior advocate Fem Falan has pleaded that what the police need to do is to provide protection and cover for the protesters, not to arrest them, not to brutalize them, because you can't solve a problem by creating another. When international community sees this level of police brutality, do you think they will be sympathetic to your administration? That's why we need a more civil, more humane policing system. You don't arrest people who are on peaceful protest. You can cordon them, ensure that they don't go violent, that you manage them, and what we need is a better crowd control, not to start making arrests and brutalizing people who are involved in peaceful protests. I underline peaceful protests. These people have not been caught with any arms and ammunition. They have not been unruly. So why do you have to arrest them? But I know, even if there are arrests, be rest assured that many of them, or if all of them will not, I know that they will be arrested, they will be released, because there are many human rights lawyers who will be standing as legal counsel for these people who are arrested. In as much as they are not unruly, they are not violent, they are not caught with any arms and ammunition, I don't think any charges that may be preferred against them will stand, because the law is on the side of protesters, that you are free and you are at liberty to engage in civil disobedience, civil protest.
There is allegation against some commentators and even some of us, the media practitioners, that we are encouraging anarchy by throwing support behind the NSAS protesters, because we are only calling attention to their plight without talking about the policemen murdered during the NSAS protest. Do you believe that it was the NSAS protesters that murdered the policemen, or hoodlums who hijacked the real protest? Because the policemen also refused to provide security for the real protesters.
So I listened to the president's speech on October 1, where he actually made that indictment against the media, and even some of us commentators were specifically mentioned that we are not supporting government to overcome our security challenge. But that is not true. The point is, we as public commentator and as media practitioners, it's a duty to hold government to account. We are to hold government to account. And where the government has failed to perform above or up to expectation, we need to call them out. After all, was I not being fair when I said this administration has done so much for the police? And I recounted about 4 or 5 things that the federal government have done. The increase in their wages, the police equipment trust fund, the amendment of Police Act, what is it called? What other thing? Even the restatement of the police Ministry of Police Affairs, which was removed, have been issued. So what we are saying is that the manner and way government reacts is what robs it of sympathy. If we deal with this issue maturely, and you believe that these issues have a point, and you see them as your children, and you treat them with civility, I believe that if the right things were done, there will be no hijack.
Yeah,
the people who perpetrated the crime, the 2 weeks they were at it. I was a live witness to the NSAS protest, even though I didn't partake physically.
I also saw them here in Abuja distributing food to people.
I wrote about it in my column in the Punch newspaper, and I recall that these people were very accountable. Yes. They told the public how much they were able to raise, as funds. They told the world how much they spent on litigation, how much they spent on repairs of vehicles of their members that were vandalized by the hoodlums and the policemen. They said about what they spent on medical. That is accountability at its peak. And they were very civil about it. They even engaged people to do waste disposal, even as they were protesting on the street.
I saw them distributing food on
they
the
were buying food and distributing
for
So
themselves.
those ones have actually
you don't
resort to
expect
violence.
them to, that they will say people will now go and burn police stations and burn police vehicles and burn people's personal properties and loot warehouses. But you see, when it started in Abuja, where some people were saying they will no longer allow the NSAS protesters to walk freely, that they were going to see what will come to them. They made good their threats the following day by going to attack the simple peaceful protesters. And that's when the thing went awry. It was at that point that the whole civil protest became bloody and violent. If government has done the needful by ensuring that there's constant dialogue with the ROS and masterminds of the NSAS protests and provide security to the extent that they do not allow the hoodlums who may want to hijack such to have a field day, we will not be having this kind of very harrowing experience. Because about 47 policemen were murdered, according to
very
unfortunately were murdered, and many of them have not gotten over the trauma of what they experienced during the NSAS. I recall that this time last year I was in Enugu, and I was in an hotel where only 5 of us were left in that hotel after the workshop I went to attend, because we couldn't get our flight was cancelled, and we were living in fear because right at the gate of that hotel were NSAS protesters, and we were afraid that they could come into the hotel and vandalize that hotel, and if they should see us, they may actually harm us. So for the 3 extra days that I spent in Enugu, I have my mouth in my, I have my heart in my mouth, and we were asked to offer our light by 7 p.m. by the hotel management. So it was a very horrible situation for me until when we were able to, when flight operations resumed in Enugu, and we were able to go back to Abuja. So it's not as if that we also enjoyed that tense moment and this kind of insecure environment. But government must do more to guarantee safety and security, not only of our collective life, but also guarantee safety and security of protesters, in as much that they are not violent, in as much as they are civil, in as much as they are not harmed. In as well as all of these 3 conditions are there, they are not harmed, they are civil, they are not violent, you need to provide protection for them. And that's what the internet, look, when our president went to US last month, it was booed. There were protesters outside of his hotel residence. There were protesters at the UN General Assembly complex, and they were all allowed to have their say. Boo me if you want to boo me. And nobody stoned the president, nobody harmed him. And the US, the United States government allowed those protesters to have their own say, even though the government was nonchalant about it. So we need to have the culture of how to handle civil protest. It's not everything you must crush. You know, when they say when you are a carpenter, you see everything as a nail and hammer, and that's not the right attitude.
So, thank you. Let's go to Kaduna, where our Kaduna Bureau Chief Isaiah Benjamin is joining us for a situation report. Good morning, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, how is Kaduna this morning?
Yeah, Kaduna is fine. First and foremost, from the very onset, Kaduna never participated in the NSAS protest. So as it stands now, all that happened during the NSAS protest was more of the looting here and there because of the COVID-19 palliatives and all of that. But I can confirm to you authoritatively that Kaduna is fine now. There is no sign of any protest whatsoever anywhere.
A public transport system, Pep, is that true? So tell us, is there any NSAS memorial going in Kaduna as we speak?
Hello. Hello, sir. Sorry? Yeah, yes. We even when it actually happened a year ago, it never happened in Kaduna. There was no NSAS protest whatsoever.
Okay, there's no NSAS.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Did they fix the bus?
Kaduna is peaceful.
Yeah, Kaduna is peaceful, very peaceful. I can confirm that.
She thinks it's something.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time. In Nigeria, if there is anything you need to inform us, you can also get back to us at the studio. Thank you very much. Now, Jide, finally, we have seen NSAS activists arrested, slapped last 1 year, but we have not seen policemen accused of brutality put on trial.
That's the double standard we're talking about. This is why government has people have trust deficit in government. You froze the account of NSAS organizers, you charge them to court, you deny them, you seize their international passport, deny them access to medical facilities and all of that. Whereas the policemen who are fingered to have been involved in brutality, exploitation, and extortion were not put on trial. That's why the fact that the National Human Rights Commission has submitted this report to the president. So this double standard is why people don't trust government. When government says we are doing something or we have done something, people are bound to take it with a pinch of salt. And that is why the government of the day and any subsequent government in Nigeria needs to always be alive to their responsibility and let people know that their word is their bound. When a president, when a minister says this is what this government is doing, let us be able to verify it and show that truly that exactly is what they are doing, not that they are saying something and doing another thing.
Exactly. And today, on this note, I think come to the end of this discussion for today. We can only say, may the souls of the departed rest in peace, including the civilians and servicemen who lost their life during the NSAS protests.
But it's not too late, but for those who are victims, who are still alive, to get their compensation. Yes, exactly. And this needs to be fast-tracked.
Yes, shouldn't be a matter of a political talk in order to engender peace and stability. Many thanks to you, Jide Ojo, Abuja-based public affairs commentator and TV host, for joining us on Inside Nigeria for 1 hour straight.
It's a pleasure.
For the first time. No. Okay, I think for the second time. there should be an award for that at the end of the year. Whenever it's time to go.
Yes. Because of a technical hit, actually, we're supposed to have an interview with one of the protesters and activists, publisher of Sahara Reporters. Fortunately, we couldn't log on to him. So next time, it's another date.
All right, many thanks to you, viewers. Make a date with us tomorrow for another edition of Inside Nigeria. My name remains Bodi Gbadibo. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158.